All right, welcome to the second review of the evening. Up this time is Romancing Saga, Minstrel Song, Remastered International. So, I gotta admit, I don't think I ever expected to see this day on the show. What do I mean by that? Well, here we are reviewing a true blue Square Enix JRPG. We've reviewed games from Square Enix once upon a time ago, but that was from the Square Enix Collective back when they were active.
You're right.
Or they came from the developers themselves. The point is that was a department very far away from the JRPG, to the point where they can actually use any of the Japanese properties.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, without paying
but
money, looking over at
No. I heard directly from Phil on this one. They were not allowed to use any Japanese IPs.
then
For
why
the
was Power Wash Simulator allowed to use Final Fantasy VII?
That's at the time.
Right.
Like Power Wash Simulator was after our interviews with him, and I think even like at the end of his tenure. Once again, that's a thing that got worked out well after the period I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the idea of, say, using Secret of Evermore for the collective, which is an idea that popped up and was soundly rejected. It's a bit weird because, technically speaking, Evermore was developed in the U.S., but I
Right.
guess is considered to be a Japanese IP because it was part of the old Squaresoft or whatever. Point is, I don't think I was ever expecting to see any Square Enix RPG on our program. And in fairness, the RPG we're going to be talking about here, isn't exactly top shelf. It's not Final Fantasy, it's not Dragon Quest, it's not Kingdom Hearts. It's one of their I hesitate to use the word lower tier, but certainly less prominent in stature. Or at least now. That wasn't always the case, but we'll get into a bit. It just, through a weird series of circumstances, we managed to get a PlayStation 5 copy, digitally no less, from the publisher of the boutique physical edition, Red Art Games, who will be talking about this game in January. At least that's the plan. So, here we are with Romancing Saga. Before we can get into the game proper, we kind of have to unpack that title. Because that title contains a whole bunch of history, a whole bunch of meaning behind it. It's not random gobbledygook like some Square Enix titles are, or like Latin that was thrown on there because I don't know, the dev went to fucking Catholic school or something. The point. Starting off with Romancing Saga. So Romancing Saga is one of the sub-series in the SaGa project. If you don't know what the SaGa project is...
It is a very, very long RPG legacy that has been inconsistently translated into English.
Yes, and it's actually one of Square Enix's oldest RPG franchises. Actually dating back to the early days of the Game Boy.
Wasn't one of the earlier SaGa games one of the games early on that was localized in the US as a Final Fantasy game but actually was?
Yes. It was localized as the Final Fantasy Legend series. All three of those were actually SaGa titles. And those three are just kind of referred to as SaGa, or like SaGa on the Game Boy. Like the full title there is, I'm trying to remember. Well, just SaGa. Like the first one had like more words, but for the purposes of discussion, Game Boy SaGa is just SaGa. Romancing SaGa is the Super Famicom branch. And then SaGa Frontier was on the PlayStation 1. Unlimited SaGa, I presume, was going to be a series, but the first one bombed so badly and was so terrible that nobody ever wanted to revisit it. At least I presume that's the case. Anyway, so yeah, Romancing SaGa is kind of where the series hit its stride. At least as I understand it. Never played the original Romancing SaGa, never played any of the Romancing SaGa games, and that makes me most people in the West.
You lucky man.
Oh, we'll get to that in due time. It's like, because Romancing SaGa was just one of the many RPGs that Squaresoft didn't localize for one reason or another. And the things that kind of codify a SaGa game, well, they might change a bit depending on what SaGa game we're talking about or game series. But in terms of Romancing SaGa, they're characterized by the free system, that is to say, nonlinear exploration, very much in opposition to the Final Fantasy series, which, plot or like jobs focused ones didn't really matter. Those were fairly linear affairs. This was much more structured. Like, anyone else remember the Seventh Saga?
I do not off the top of my head.
Just me. Well, that was a
That
very.
does not ring a bell.
I'll just give you the part that's relevant here, because the Seventh Saga is its own kettle of fish. That's a very non-linear RPG. Maybe the most non-linear Super Nintendo JRPG to exist, period. And Romancing SaGa is like that. In addition to that quirk, there are two other defining characterizations here. One, instead of a traditional level up system, they have a variant on the Final Fantasy to do action to earn experience in a thing.
You can hear me screaming in the distance.
Yeah. As in, if you attack more, you will increase your strength, I think. Your hit points go up, I think, with like defense or magic, something like that. Yeah, no, magic is BP. And like the specific magic is like bullet points or something. I do remember it was just called BP instead of MP. Battle points. That's what it was. The point is, there are no experience points at all. It's very much full on, let's say, Elder Scrolls. Even though Elder Scrolls is later, that's going to be the reference point that most of our audience is going to be familiar with. I.e., do a thing, do it more, get experienced in said thing. It's like its execution. Well, Petty has a very long rant to go on there. Not a fan.
No.
It's still better than what we saw in the Final Fantasy Legend 1, where you had to eat like monster bait and level up that way, and it's so fucking complex that you need like literal charts and graphs to make actual progress, because it can also penalize you as well. Yeah, it wasn't a fun system. But that's kind of that's kind of the madman behind this game's MO. You know, things that are very quirky but not necessarily fun. Anyway, other quirks. Instead of having a party of characters that you either build at the beginning, Final Fantasy 1 and 3, or a cast of characters that group together via a story, 4, 6, etc. This is very much recruitment. As in, like, you have to recruit other party members. And very impressively for a Super Nintendo title or Super Famicom is you can have a party up to 6 people.
Right.
And that adds an extra dynamic to the battlefield. Because instead of just having back row, front row, you have front row, middle column, back row. And, the advantages, disadvantages are dispersed similarly, except in the middle, it's literally in the middle. Like, you get more defense, you do less attack, but not as much as in the back or in the front. Literally the middle of the road. The problem with this, at least in the first game, is unless you hit a monster head on. Oh, right, that's another thing. For a 1991 Super Famicom game, there's no random battles. They're all on the overworld. It's amazing how far back this system goes. And yet we were putting up with random battles all the way up to like the PlayStation 2 era. Why? But I suppose that's a question for another day. Anyway, it's like if you didn't hit head on, if you got hit from the side or the back, that changed your formation. And so, you would have to do the Final Fantasy adjustment of rows, but even more of it. Because you got an extra row there. Anyway, so that's an overview of the game. I could delve into ever more deeper into the layers of this game because it certainly has that.
Yeah.
Like,
it has layers like an onion.
Yeah, like
It
character
also
health.
smells bad like an onion.
Like character health. 2-layered. It's got standard hit points and life points. Life points is okay. Hit points is you get drained and then you get knocked out. Life points are the number of knockouts.
Right.
And
it's a strain injury life system.
Yes. Like I said, this game series is full of this kind of shit. Up and down the line. So, that's the game itself. I'm hesitating to get into the plot, but I suppose it's not it's not Final Fantasy VI level or even Final Fantasy IV, but it kind of can't be that because of the non-linear nature of the game, and also it's a Super Nintendo game. There's only so much text you could fit. Granted, in Japanese, you could fit more of it. That's probably one of the big reasons why we never saw this game series.
Mm-hmm.
Because text was really hard to come by back in the Super Nintendo times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because English is not a very efficient language when it comes to, cartridge-based games.
Yes. But anyway, so Romancing SaGa is set in the world of Madrias. where three evil gods, Death, Sauron, and Saurich, and the good god Elor have a battle, as they do.
Yeah, stop us
By
if,
the end,
if you've heard this one.
yeah, it's gonna be pretty typical JRPG plotting of the time, including a crystal stand-in. Instead of crystals, you gotta collect fate stones. You've got 8 protagonists, in case you wonder where Octopath Traveler got the idea. And once again, it's another thing that reminds me of the 7th Saga, because every character is very different with their own backstory and agenda. That's something that continues on through the Saga series. Like, I definitely remember that being a key feature of Saga Frontier. You know, that was like 6 stories, and then they will intermingle at the end. So that's the basic outline of the plot. I'm trying to keep this stuff condensed because there's a lot to cover here.
Yeah.
And this is a game, just, if nothing else, it's got a lot of depth to it.
I guess, did we kind of touch on the Glimmer system? Because that's one of the other big mechanics of this.
No, you want to... Like, I'm trying to remember what that was.
Basically, whenever you're using a weapon, there's a chance you can learn a special skill with it.
Yes,
I did it
yes.
briefly.
Yes, that's... yes, that is another thing. And that goes up... And the chance you learn something new increases, A, if you don't have many skills learned. But also, B, the harder the enemy, the more likely you are to learn a new skill.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? You're going to learn a lot of skills off of bosses.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, like, the more proficient you are with that type of weapon.
Yep.
So, like, if your character is very good with swords, when you pick up a different type of sword, you'll be more likely to learn skills from that compared to, say, like, a bow and arrow.
Well, yeah. Once again, if nothing else, the Saga games have a depth of complexity that's fucking mind-blowing for the likes of the Game Boy and the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come together, but once again, we'll get to that when we get to that. Because I got to get to the next part of this title, and that's Minstrel Song.
Yep.
First of all, Minstrel is a prominent character in the Romancing Saga series. Like, I believe he shows up in all 3.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quote me on that, because, once again, this is a bit of a fuzzy knowledge area for us. But it also refers to the first remake, if you will. I guess technically it's the remake, and this is, well, the remastered version of it. But this game was rebuilt for the PlayStation 2. And it was actually a late-stage PlayStation 2 title. At least in terms of its, relevant life. Although, yeah, I know the PlayStation 2 lived an absurdly long time. It came out in 2005. I consider from 2000 to 2006 the prime of the PlayStation 2's life. When it was the main system Sony was selling. And that's right at the end there. I know the PlayStation 2 had many great games after the PlayStation 3 launched. But it's still that wasn't the focus of Sony's. So, that's also why this game looks like it does.
Mm-hmm.
Because without that context, this is a very strange remake. for modern day Square. Like, this isn't a remake we would see from modern day Square. Indeed, we've seen the other Romancing Saga games remade, and they don't look like this. Romancing Saga 2 Remastered doesn't look like this. You want to know what it looks like? A souped up and prettier version of the Super Nintendo game. No, this is the kind of remake they were doing in the mid-2000s. Think the DS Final Fantasy titles. And I know, not all the time. There was the advanced titles and Final Fantasy IV on the PSP. Doesn't change the fact that they did full-on 3D remakes as well. And this is one of them. And Square Enix has been embarking on a quest to remaster or remake or what have you, depending on the game, all of their old titles. They've actually been doing a pretty impressive job about that. So the initial version of this remaster actually came out a few years ago. Like the version on Steam came out in 2022. It was like one of the dozen or so games they released for Christmas that year.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, like they released like a ton of these mid-tier RPGs, and then they wondered, why aren't these titles selling? Well, maybe you shouldn't have put Minstrel Song Remastered up against, say, Harvestella. And trying to remember some of the other ones. Not important. And finally, we come to International. That's a cheeky little reference. I got to admit, I don't know if that's Square Enix or Red Art who put that in the title, but and for once, it actually fits because going back to the PlayStation era, who remembers the international versions of, say, Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy X?
I remember the international version of Final Fantasy X, 2, and 12.
Yeah, that I think is what they're going for here.
Also, note that international. Okay, because of the way Square Enix does it, the way that what that means in those games is, okay, so we released the game in Japan, then we had to release it overseas, so we gave it a bit of a tune-up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wanted to re-release it with all of the improvements and then some in Japan. So it's called International because it has all of the improvements from the international versions, but it was actually a Japan original.
Yeah, but they wouldn't. They couldn't put in the improvement pluses into the Western versions.
Right.
You know, once again, that actually kind of pissed me off.
Right, that's what I was trying to get at. The actual version available internationally does not have the actual last set of improvements from the international version.
Yeah.
The international version also usually has English voice acting, I think, on those two.
Now, as far as what international means here, not sure. All I got, as far as the text here, a stunning remastered edition with new gameplay elements and quality of life features. But I'm not sure if they're talking about the international version or of like the initial remastered version. Like, probably something to ask them in January. With that in mind, finally we come to the game itself. Petty, you may begin ranting.
So, we've mentioned this has a direct lineage to Final Fantasy II. Final Fantasy II is my least favorite Final Fantasy game. I know it has its fans. I hate it.
That actually makes you most people in the West.
Fair. But yeah, this is... this is your standard turn-based RPG from, I guess, remastered from late 90s, well, early 90s. And,
early 90s, mid 2000s.
Right. And I picked, I believe his name is Albert? Yeah, as my starting character, and my boy is dumb as a box of fucking rocks. Like, I actually regret picking him as the starting character for this, because, yeah, he makes the worst decisions. I guess something that I have found out about this game as well is leveling up is bad. Enemies scale with you like they would in a Western RPG, so
Oh, fuck off.
I know.
I hate that. Final Fantasy.
Sometimes that's still good, but sometimes they fuck up like they did in Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where the enemy level scaling is supposed to accommodate for your improvement from leveling plus your improvement from getting new items as you progress through the story.
Mm-hmm.
So if you level up too much without progressing, the enemies can get too hard.
Right.
The Last Remnant also had that fucking problem. To the point where I had to abandon the game at the gates of hell. Ooh, that made me mad.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, it's like, I can't lie. Dynamic leveling is one of my most hated game mechanics.
If it's a skill-based, like, more dynamic game, kind of like Elder Scrolls, where I can get around them or take a better tactical position to be more efficient, even if they are better, you know, like, even if they are getting stronger with me, that's fine. In a turn-based RPG, you're just getting your ass handed to you still.
Right.
So it's like, yes, there are ways to beat this stuff. I just don't have the patience to learn a more classic RPG. I am a little too spoiled with the modern trappings of what the JRPG genre has become, not only in the more action-y side of things, but just the straight up things are less bullshit now than they were, 30 plus years ago.
Right.
Part of it is definitely that we have less time as adults than we did as kids in terms of for grinding and stuff, but also just the general standard of
Well, like I mentioned, grinding is actually
that was like acceptable
bad.
In JRPGs has gone down a lot. Your JRPGs have a lot more expected quality of life than they used to.
Right. But yeah, so far I've done a few battles. Like, you have a lot more, like, options in battle than you would have had in, say, the older Final Fantasies. You can typically have 2 weapons. Albert here has a short sword. Well, it's more of a fencing saber, and a dual sword. They do give you the option to attack barehanded. You don't need to, like, unequip something to do that. It's just an option you have. There are options for magic based on your character's proficiency in such things. And then there is an option to defend and retreat. As you can see with the retreat, it will cost 1 life point. So if you are out of life points, you cannot retreat. Albert starts off with a smoke bomb, which using a durability of the weapon, because your weapons do have durability in this game. Again, another thing I hate. you can basically use that to get a free flee from battle. And then if you look at the swords I have, these skills I got, the Smash and Blunt Strike, Impact Slash, and Paralyzing Thrust, I got these from the Glimmer system. And I'm sure those keep branching off. Like, I literally just got another Glimmer. And there is chests, and they keep asking, a trap might be set, open it anyway. And I have yet to come across a trap chest, but the fact that after an event happens in your home kingdom, where you have to basically flee because of a monster attack, there is a chest right outside of the place where they send you out. Luckily, that's not trapped. I don't think it is, but the fact that they ask that is concerning. Like, it's good to give you an option to not open a chest, and I'm sure there's probably some with an ability to deal with, trapped chests. I just have not found them. Here's a boss fight. I am not great at combat in this game. Like, I think there's some type of like elemental affinity, and I just died. I believe I can get Albert back up. Yes, because Albert wasn't hit again after he got hurt, he didn't lose a life point. And Seth there was able to dodge that attack on her. So she was able, not to get too hurt. And then I can use my first aid, and then... Unfortunately, these guys use a lot of ice attacks, and I don't have much to deal with that. One spray. Hopefully this kills this. Yes, good. Alright, I actually beat a boss. I forget what jewels do. And here you have the formation menu, and it kind of gives you can see the performance of how each of your weapons will do based on where you're at in the formation. Like, if you're all the way in the back, none of Albert's close range weapons will do anything because he's not in the back, but he has much higher defense. Seth, on the other hand, has a hunting bow. So if I decide to pull her in the back, even though she's the highest HP I have, I could send her to the back and have her start sniping. But like something I could also do is status armor. I can unequip the bow, and I believe I can give that to Albert. Yes. So I could have him, since he's so squishy, I can send him to the back so he can attack more. Like, attack with the bow for a little bit and not get as hurt. There is a quest guide, which I guess is one of those nice modern features. Because if I had to try and remember all this from memory, that would suck. You have your world map. Here you can see your whole area. We have... You can change your configuration. They did the whole modern... modern... You can change a whole bunch of settings. You can also change your English between... Or, change your English. Change your language between the spoken language from Japanese and English. So people who are fans of Japanese, you can have your Japanese audio.
Is the English voice acting good enough that it doesn't need it?
It's an early 2000s dub. What do you think, Alex? Specifically an early 2000s video game dub. Spoilers.
Some of those are good, but a lot of them are not.
Yeah, spoilers. It's the latter. Oh, apparently you can get jumping skills. Nifty. Because yeah, each of the different characters you can come across have skills and abilities. So, I can come back later when I get somebody who has the ability to jump good and can go get that treasure chest, assuming I remember it still exists. But right now I'm on a, I can probably just go back to the village. Yeah. Once you get to the edge of a map, you can basically fast travel. So even though I was on the other side of that map, I didn't have to run all the way to the other side to get to the town. Also, here's the Minstrel.
Do you want to dismiss someone from your group? I can do the job. To say it yourself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they could have used Bard, but...
Traveling alone.
Yeah, and here's a little bit of the Minstrel and a little bit of the voice acting.
Traveling with you could prove inspiring. Allow me to join you on your journey.
And you can have the Minstrel join you on your party. What does he even have? Status. Oh yeah, the Minstrel has locked stats and stuff. So let's see. As far as the game, if you're interested in this, honestly, you probably already have the game.
And so they strode into battle.
But yeah, there is... Albert's on a quest to find his sister, basically, after the monsters attacked your home. You two got separated because of Albert's bad choices. And you're trying to get back home because you are currently very far away from home. Several countries away. Trying to think of what else. Music's alright. It's not I'm not gonna go, look into getting it. Getting a soundtrack for this, but it exists. But yeah, the game is... I just wish it was a little more modernized, not just 3D models running around. Being able to see the sprites is cool, and it does have the at least partial interesting thing where enemies can get a back attack. I've not been able to get a back attack on enemies because even if I get close, they still see me. So I don't know if it's just one of those things where they get back attacks on you if you're not paying attention, or if I need like someone with ability that will let me sneak up on enemies. But yeah, overall, I didn't get really hooked on this. Again, I was never a fan of Final Fantasy II, and I'm just kind of a little spoiled by more modern RPGs. So it's not that it's a bad game. It's just not the type of game I'm really interested in. You guys have any questions or comments?
I think I'm good.
Oh, there was something about the cutscenes looking weird. I think you were gonna mention something on that, Adam.
Oh, not the cutscenes, the art style. You'll note that the overall graphical style rather cartoony, especially for a Square Enix title. That actually is something that caused quite a bit of controversy back in the day. Because it doesn't hold true to the original Super Famicom artwork. At least this is what I understand. This is just kind of, I believe, what the Japanese player-based reactions to these graphics have been. Once again, it's a thing that's a bit out of my depth since, as previously stated, romancing SaGa, not a knowledge point.
Right.
Or at least, a lot of what I've been talking about here is stuff I researched.
Yeah, I did notice like some of the cutscenes, they look more like the models are being used as puppets, and there's like weird how do I want to put this? Layer changing or like scene changing? I don't know. It's kind I'm not sure what they're doing, if this was like that in the PS2 version, or if it's just something weird with the jump to high definition. And I seem to have accidentally kicked Seth out of the party, and I don't know how to get her back. That's fine. Oh, you can also learn skills. That's right. You can train different classes. I guess that's what the jewels are for. So I can, if I change class or like upgrade a class, you see how it has, I can get better skills in using a scimitar, hand axe, bows, tarotology, search. If I change the Valhallan warrior, two-handed swords, hand swords, or hand axes, survival, pioneer, and just so on and so forth. Like I can upgrade to swordsman, and then I can change my class. Because when you start this one up top that has no name is basically freelancer, in like Final Fantasy job system parlance. And then you can also learn proficiencies. So you can learn pick locks, disarm traps. You can learn dig, find traps, find treasure. And those are just skills you have. But yeah, I think that's it, unless you guys have any other questions or comments.
I do, because pricing. So, gonna have to do some extra commentary here. And I don't have all the details. All right, to wit, if you want to pick up Romancing Saga Minstrel Song Remastered digitally, it's going to run you 25 bones. But since we are talking about Remastered International on the PlayStation 5, I also need to quote the physical price. The problem is I can't find it in dollars. Like, I don't know how to change that to USD on Red Art's website.
Are you using your VPN again?
VPN is set to New York.
Okay. Well, because sometimes they just go with what your, location setting is, so...
Right, but here's the thing. They're located in the UK.
I have a currency converter. What's it in euros?
All right.
Or
yeah, it's in euros.
Give me 1 second to find euros.
Yeah. No, wait. I think they might be French.
Is it using?
The point is, yeah, they're using euros, so yeah, they're French.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, the physical edition of this on the PlayStation 5 is going for €44.99.
On the Windows currency converter that was last updated as of time of recording, December 7th, 2025, that will run you $52.43 American.
Yeah. So, and I suppose it's a bit of a good news, bad news scenario with this price. It says it's a tax included. But I'm not sure if it's got the tariffs included.
Right.
That's the big sticking point here that I don't know the answer to. I don't I don't know how much this is actually going to run somebody who wants to order it, for North America.
And this is the console physical edition, yes?
Yes. It is specifically the PlayStation 5, but there are actually 3 editions. There's one for the PlayStation 5, there's one for the PlayStation 4, and one for the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch 1.
All right. And
they do run the same price as well, including the Switch version, which sometimes has the Switch tax attached to it. Not here, at least not from what I can see. Mind you, that is just what they. That's the standard edition. There are 3 tiers of editions because, once again, boutique publisher and all that. So,
right.
Of course. So second tier up is the deluxe edition, which has got the full game. With a deluxe sleeve. I hate that we have to fucking list that on the bullet points now. Fuck you, Ubisoft. Like a reversible inlay, a beautiful commemorative manual, and a PVC keychain. And let me see. Okay, that's still listing as €45. Or sorry, €45. Let me see if the collector's edition. The collector's edition, you get the full game with a reversible inlay, a collector's box, 3 postcards featuring game art, a beautiful commemorative manual, a steel case, and a gorgeous art book. So the PlayStation 5 edition of that is going to be €70. What's for a collector's edition?
That is $81.50 at time of recording.
What's for a collector's edition? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little slim for a lot of collector's editions. That's still a decent price.
Yeah, I mean, that's the trade-off, isn't it?
Yeah. Usually, like, collector's editions also come with some sort of, soundtrack. Even if it's just a flash drive with the MP3s on it.
Yeah. Right. So, So putting that aside, it's actually kind of hard for us to fully determine whether or not the physical editions are worth it because we don't have that in hand.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if like they're releasing a North American edition or if this is just Europe only.
This is one of those things we'll be asking about.
Yes.
Oh, if you look on stream now, it did actually go to the a partial kind of cutscene thing for the. I don't know what this was. I think it might have been part of a trailer or something. But you can kind of look like even the art style looks off. Like I don't know like what they kind of did here.
Looks of an era at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I see this and I keep thinking like Final Fantasy 3 on the DS.
Yeah.
Just a better looking version of that kind of art style and models. You know, like the characters here actually have noses.
And I also don't know if this is like an FMV type thing, but because I'm playing on the PS5 and I think this is running in PS4 mode or the PS4 version. It's hard for me to tell what version it's running in, basically.
Yeah. So, getting back to the core digital version that you can buy on all the digital storefronts, on balance, in my estimation, $25 for this is actually more reasonable than usual for Squaresoft.
Mm-hmm. So it's a full-ass RPG. I think it's like almost 100 hours?
Something like that.
If you're interested in this, there is RPG to satisfy you. If you're not, then you're going to be in for a very hard time if you're one of those people who have to beat their games before you get new ones. Believe me, I've lived that life when I was young.
I don't think I've ever lived that life. Like, even when I got, physical cartridges and CDs, if I didn't feel like finishing a game, I didn't finish a game. Like, guess what? Anyone who cares about people finishing their games has too much fucking time on their hands.
Well, it's more the parents, for me, I wouldn't get a new game unless I beat the one I had.
Right, that's a different thing than what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, yours is more, you're paying for them, you don't have to beat them if you don't want to. Mine was, they were gifts from family and I wouldn't get new ones unless I showed I completed it.
There's the argument that, finishing games for review, but it's like, look, we do 4 games a week. I do 2 games every week. I don't have enough hours in the day to fully commit to beating a game.
Yeah, if I had to actually play through this, we probably wouldn't be doing this review till spring. If I could will myself to do it. Again, not a fan of Final Fantasy II style stuff.
So, yeah, I think the ultimate verdict here is it's a good deal on its own. It's just maybe play an hour and keep Steam's refund button in mind.
Unless you PlayStation does not have the refund option, so
yeah. And there's no demos.
Yeah, unless you are very, very, very interested in the SaGa romancing SaGa, or you've already played it back in the day and was wondering if this is a competent remaster. It's competent enough. Like, it's, from what I saw videos of the old version, it looks close enough, just in
I'm wondering if they're using... I'm wondering if this thing is using an AI upscaler.
That might actually explain some of the scene shifts in some of the cutscenes.
Yeah, because I think the Chrono Cross remaster they did had some problems with that very technique.
It's one of the things we'll ask the devs when we have them on. I don't want to accuse them of using AI stuff if I'm not for sure.
And we also don't know if they would know, because once again, that might have
Also,
been
there are
something like,
there are plenty of questionable upscalers that are not technically AI powered.
Right. That's why I
Yeah.
don't want to go with that of assuming it's
it's
AI when it
it's
could just be
also,
a not great upscaler.
like they might not know because that was a Square Enix decision.
Yeah.
So anyway, more on that kind of thing in January. And I think we are done with Minstrel Song Remastered here.
Yes.
Long last.
Get me out of this
we're-
hell.
Yeah. Oh, but we're only halfway through the review session. Thankfully, the next title is going to be much shorter in Graniko Zirka Trilogy.